Welcome to the Archotechs, a RimWorld fluid ideology series about pursuing the Archonexus. Episode 45, The Compound. To briefly recap last episode, we had converted and then subsequently enslaved 3 prisoners, so now we have 3 slaves instead, which is going to satisfy some of the needs of this colony, having slaves. We also sent Bunny to go to an adjacent map tile to raid some ancient dangers, and she came back with a bounty of gold. So here it is, the ex-ancient danger. With that, we are going to be able to construct the remaining thrones that we are due, and then perhaps rely upon ground pen scanning or long-range mineral scanning for any future metal or other resource needs. We did set up the ancient danger, the one currently on our map tile, to be a fire trap in order to imprison the occupants. But I believe I'm going to put a little bit of a delay here because I don't feel like at this very moment it's necessary to add 6 more additional slaves to our colony. This episode, what I hope to do is to complete the Architect sort of complex that I have going on, or at least make considerably more progress. So let's get that underway. First things first, we want to put in doors maybe here and here. These doors will be to be able to access the storage room. Put down some wooden walls here because not everything will be able to support stone. And then the rest of it can go to granite. Now, of course, that means that we're going to need to cut some granite blocks in order to accommodate. But we'll get that in due time. This area here is going to be the crafting room, and I'm not really going to worry about putting a crafting room down until I have a fabricator. A fabrication bench is a little bit of the way off. As you can see, I have to get through multi-analyzers first. Another thing I noticed is that Droiden is not properly set on slave attire, so I got to fix that. And then I believe Chelsea mentioned that my veggie stockpile was not properly set to important, but I believe everything else was. We also raffled off the 3 slaves, so congratulations to you 3, and then the 2 animals here as well. We have 1 and 2. All right, so here is where our slaves will sleep. We still have to get a styling station and sort of remove the tattoos and hair that we've been doing in the past. That is to come. And then this room here can go back from the prison barracks that it was previously to eventually become a ritual room because we are due for some scarification. Another thing we're due for is a bit of a health checkup for Bunny. So let's get Sven to start on that. We have to cut out her carcinoma. So I'm going to excise carcinoma, and I'm going to have Glitterworld meds be the quality of choice because I don't really have normal meds at the moment. So this room is going to be our storage room once it's done. And Bunny, you are ready for an operation, so here we go. And we're done. One of the setbacks of having a nuclear stomach is every now and then it gives you a little bit of cancer that you have to cut out. So soon, for at least 2/3 of the trio, we'll have the required throne room fulfilled. We do have our slaves cutting stone so that we'll be able to continue building the thrones. And then once I get to the point where I have enough limestone for the 3rd throne, I'll go back to granite because I do want to complete the sort of Archonexus complex that I've got going on here, protecting this area. There is a lot of wealth around here that is sort of decaying in the fields. And that also brings me to another point. I need to store the weapons somewhere. So let's go ahead and put, at least for now, put weapons in here. Preferred. We'll put any weapons and then beer. And then I'm going to create a new zone. And the slave zones are not going to include this room. This originally was the meditation room, but because I think it's probably best if we have the meditation and throne rooms sort of combined, even though they look a bit messy, this is going to be better. Now, I am going to allow the slaves to move the weapons in there. Also, elephant tusks and thrumbo horns go in there as well, because they are also weapons. But I will be getting to a point where then I'll restrict access once they're done moving everything in. Also means that this granite door is probably best to be something else. But let's copy the settings here for that stockpile, and then put a duplicate stockpile right here, weapon temp, so that the slaves can be able to move them temporarily somewhere closer. And then here, take weapons, beer, tusks, and horns off of the priority list. So in the future, slaves will be able to haul to this spot, and then my colonists will be able to haul it into storage. How much limestone do we have? 140? All right, we're about halfway to the third throne. We definitely already have the gold. So once the storage area is done, I'll clean up this spot here, setting up a crafting room to allow the smithy and tailor and all that to move away. Oh, and it's a masterwork. Fantastic. All right, we will assign this to Sven. Trustin will be the last one to receive. His mood is the, well, I guess Sven and Trustin's mood are kind of the highest. And this meditation throne became even nicer. Now it's unbelievably impressive. And I only need a throne room for Trustin, which should be done pretty soon. All right, I'm opening it up so that they can cut any stone block, and a lot of the closest stone block are going to be granite, and that will allow us to complete some of the walls that I have queued up here. So I'm going to put doors in and walls for the crafting room, which will be down here. But I'm going to forbid this so that we do this a little bit later as a lower priority, because I don't want my wood deteriorating. It's going to take a while for the wood to deteriorate, but as you can see, the clothing's deteriorating as well. So the sooner I get that roofed up, the better. Looks like we're starting to get some brownouts. So I'm going to turn off the smithy and the tailor. I don't have battery tech yet. I'm just using the wood fire generators, so we only produce as much power as we produce, and if we exceed that amount, we don't really get to keep the lights on. So that's going to be important to remember. And then the plan is to put an orbital trade beacon in here, like that. And we'll be powering this up. What I will need, if the orbital trade beacon's up there, is some sort of bait beacon, like we've always used. So I might put... Not exactly sure where to put the bait beacon for now. I might do it somewhere over to the west. So with gas operation done, let's go to multi-analyzer. I think it's about time that we get good on that. Taking a look at my stone, I'm just going to use sandstone because I don't much care. So I'll put the bait beacon, that might be even too close. I'll put the, this spot's fine. I'll put the bait beacon in there. Far enough away that we can muster some sort of defense, but not so far that when our goods land there, we can't carry them back. That's sort of the concept. We also can't keep it roofed up, so let's remove that roof. Otherwise, it doesn't really work as a bait beacon. All right, there we go. We have a proper enclosed storage room. And even though we don't have a lot of steel, I'm probably going to concrete this up as much as I can to limit the sort of spread of fires and grass and that kind of growth. Speaking of steel, that indicates that Bunny needs to get back to work. So let's put Bunny on some mining. Taking a look at our work priorities, she's really the only one capable, so once she's done cutting some of that granite, she'll head on out to mine. Oh no, no cooking. You don't have to cook anymore. There you go. So like always, there will be a little hole in the middle of the roof because there isn't walls close enough, and this is just going to be for silver. And to put the silver near the beacon so that we have currency to trade and buy and all that jazz. So we are at 200 out of 300 limestone blocks. So now that we have the granite to wall up our storage, let's pivot back to limestone blocks only. So that we can finish off the throne and have our trio happy. And now, none of the clothing in here is, or none of the items, I should say, are deteriorating anymore because they are roofed up. The storage room currently isn't wired up. I'm going to get that wired up. I'm going to avoid running the cables over where the wooden sections of the wall are, so if I have a feedback event, it doesn't easily catch the walls on fire. I've also been trying to avoid pathing with flammable tiles. I do have a little bit here in the research room and Noluk's bedroom, but I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can so that we don't have huge fire risks. Undue fire risks. And now Trustin is getting some of the walls for the crafting room constructed. So the orbital trade beacon will go here. Now this includes a whole lot of this marshy soil, and maybe at some point I will get the moisture pumps, but I'm not too worried about the marshy soil. It will slow people down a little bit as we don't walk very fast on it, but shouldn't be a huge issue for our room here for storage. When he's doing an excellent job. So one more limestone cut, which it looks like Droiden is doing now, and we'll have enough for the last throne. Also at this point, slaves are going to be set to slave zones. I believe all the weapons are now in there. I don't see any weapons out of place anymore. That's great. On top of that, I am going to start to add the roofs between these buildings here to keep the plants from regrowing very easily. So let's go ahead and do a plant cut like this, where my slaves are going to clear out all the plants that are kind of in the way. So we have... Oh, well, Trustin's doing something else. So that we don't have plant growth and it's not flammable and it doesn't stop movement and all that stuff. We're going to need to add some additional lights in to keep it nice and illuminated so that we can travel around fast, but most of it is kind of done. So here comes the meditation throne, and then we'll pivot back to any stone block. Whatever's closest is fine. My pets up here have plenty of nutrition. Eventually, we're probably going to need a larger pen if they keep replicating, but for now, we have enough population controls and all that. It should be just no issue at all. So this zone right around the beacon is going to be for silver. The reason, which is probably evident to many of you, is anything unroofed and on marsh will decay, but silver won't, because silver never does. So it doesn't really matter that it's unroofed. I could put gold there or jade there too. I'll just do the beacon and the silver. And then we'll get the beacon powered on. So I have the bait beacon that was constructed first, and then the real beacon that is second, so that the real beacon is not the anchor point for pod drop raiders. Most of the stripped raiders' gear is now hauled away, so we should see Danishi putting this in... Oh, stockpile 2. That's incorrect. So this stockpile is going to be copied and pasted and then deleted. I don't want to store anything in here anymore. So put into the temporary weapons, which is exactly where they belong. Perfect. So the last throne is almost done. And that will meet all of the requirements. If you're wondering, we really didn't have many mood problems. We sort of prepared properly and didn't run into that bottleneck, which is great. Wow. Bunny, you mined way fast. That's pretty remarkable. So here's the brewery, and the brewery is going to be for wort, and I'm just going to make the hops into wort with the slave labor that I have, and then eventually put in a brewery once I have a temperature stable room, which I currently don't have. Temperature stable because the brewery requires, of course, a stable temperature to operate. So it looks like my crafting room is nearly done. And then I'm going to want to run power into that as well. And then probably have one giant length of dead power running in the middle, so that all the tables could connect to dead power to turn off and on at a whim. And now that this is enclosed, this smelter here could probably go here instead. This spot doesn't happen to be part of the stockpile. And then everything that has crafting qualities will just be pushed in here. I'm probably almost, in fact, certainly going to reorganize the layout out of everything to lay it out better than the last colony we're in. But for now, I'm just going to slap everything down here to get it out of the dining room, because the dining room is becoming one heck of a filthy thoroughfare. Filthy enough that it might warrant me having, let's say, JD clean. Although you're our cook, so no, never mind. Denishi, you're gonna clean over farm, because everything is super filthy. Super filthy. I believe I'm not even generating enough power to keep the smelter on. Something must have forced off. I think it was probably a light, which is crazy how little power that we have excess. Trying to think of what I can even turn off. Oh, one of our coolers is off too. Because I don't really want to think about it, I'm just going to add another wood fire generator, and then eventually maybe manage to move away from wood fire and do something better. So, chem fuel or solar or wind, or I don't know, something better. So now the rec room is somewhat impressive and will become more and more impressive as time goes on, as we add art and the like to it. The throne room, of course, is massively impressive, and we do have our last throne, and now Trustin shall be satisfied. So the next step is to get a ritual room in. So we're going to do... Well, I have a lot of granite. I guess I could do granite. Granite altar. Maybe down like this. With then the lectern at the top. This isn't necessarily where the gladiatorial games will take place. Because I hand-selected these 3 slaves to join us, I don't think I'm going to subject them to the gladiatorial games like I will plan on doing for anyone else that joins. You know, if I capture more people in the future, I might kill them or have them fight in the gladiator games. But I'm not quite there yet. So it looks like Denishi's doing a pretty good job of tidying everything up. I am going to allow the heal root to continue to be sown because we have a severe lack of it. All right, it's looking good. There's our lectern. Here comes the altar. This room, of course, is not very fancy, and we'll need fine tiles and the like to bring it up to par. But it's a start. And if Bunny is stone cutting, that means I'm back to not having enough mining jobs for her. So let's queue those up. There is a little bit of plasteel here that I'm going to leave alone for now, because I don't need plasteel just yet. So I'll have her go for just regular steel and maybe even silver. The silver that's locked in here might be good for me to hit as well. There's a lot of steel up north. There's whole massive chunks of it, so if I really need steel, I can just go up. Oh, and we have a new foal. This is horse number 6. More than we can even keep, I might add, because with the Archonexus, it only allows you to keep 5, so that might be something that we have to consider. whether we sell them or something like that. All right, this is a rather large project, and what I'm doing now is I'm starting to tile in the complex. The complex is sort of the grounds of the base. This will be a lot of steel, but it's going to allow us to move around quicker, and then I'm going to secure the perimeter after this. So this is just step one of multiple steps. Unfortunately, we do have pockets of marsh, which will require bridges and the like. Oh, and Starman with a new calf. A male calf. And Ardent is already pregnant again. Holy cow. So I believe that I also wanted to have a bit of a border around everything as well, where everything is getting tiled up. Even if it means eating into some of my rich soil, I don't really care. There we go. And this will be the sort of compound. Also, I want to have Bunny, who is another combat Psycaster, start to pray and get her Psy Focus up. Because Sven currently is the only one that has Psy Focus, but she can definitely afford to do it now as well because we have all these statues that help for the speed. And then everywhere that previously couldn't be floored up, I might floor it up. This is going to be a lot of bridging. It's also going to be a major fire hazard, but it's definitely going to sort of bring the perimeter together. So despite the fire hazard and the expense, you know, it's something I'm going to do for move speed. I probably don't need it here, though. Okay, looking good. Can't wait until this is all filled in. So the next project is the cutting of an excessive amount of granite. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a whole new cutting for granite blocks and copy this on all 3 stone cutting tables. Because this is going to be for the perimeter, for security perimeters. And then once I have enough steel and granite, I'll set up a bit of a kill box as well. Trustin is making short work of this project. So Bunny, making sure that I keep your mood nice and high. Now I do have the Desperate Refugee quest expiring. Yeah, I might want to grab that. Let me see. Do I require pews yet? Yes, I already do require pews. So that's going to be something else that we're going to want to add to this. Everything is granite so far, so I'll have granite pews. I have Trustin make those. There's going to be a lot of wood used for all these bridges. I just want to add. It's very expensive. Nice, a masterwork. So 4 more beds. As someone role-playing in Evil Society, don't really care if they're cramped. It's fine by me. Pack them in. And I'm gonna have no luck move these beds. So sometimes some of these beds are set to prisoners, so it's gonna screw up the assignment, but that's fine. Now, if you're wondering, they're probably going to... Actually, they don't seem to want slave beds for whatever reason, so that's fine. Or slab beds, I should say. All right, there we are. Let's take a look. Fast walker, teetotaler, jealous, good with animals. Careful shooter, sickly, brawler. Too kind and smart, good with intellectual and art. And trigger happy misogynist who's lazy, good with construction. So let's give them the sort of standard queue that we have here. I think what I'll probably end up doing is just have these guys more or less be stonecutters and haulers. It's boring, but I'm not really here for their skilled labor, just their unskilled labor. That's fine. They'll help to get a perimeter up and then haul the steel that Bunny mines. And we'll feed them a little bit when we feel like it. So in terms of assignments, we're going to give them nutrient paste. In terms of medicine, nothing. And then no drugs for any of them. I'm queuing up some cutting plants to speed it up so that someone like Trustin doesn't have to cut down a tree because he's not very good at it. Now, I could enslave them, but none of them really scream to me like people I want to keep. Maybe Ven here would be the best. But even then, he's really not combat capable. Not as much as I would like. Now, taking a look at my stockpiles here, I would say that my vegetables are starting to run low. So I'm going to allow the rice and cotton. And then maybe here I'll put corn. I'm going to allow that back. Critical. Why are you critical? Oh. What's funny is, yeah, put that down. Are they all like that? Yeah, okay. So what's funny is, their ideology doesn't really like Neolithic weapons. But they all came in using Neolithic weapons, which actually tanked their moods pretty considerably. So if we take a quick look at their needs here, you can see the rotted corpses really got them down. That's actually something I can solve if they're going to be guests. So I'll put a little stockpile here of rotten corpses and try to move all the rotten corpses where I can burn them more easily. Because they will appreciate that. I don't know if they're going to stick around at this rate, though, because if you take a look at their moods, they're about to have mental breaks. They're also the ones helping me haul the rotted corpses, so that's like, maybe a bit of the problem. Oh my god. This is negative mood. Holy cow. They're upset. Well, I'll use them for as much labor as I can get from them. And then dismiss them thereafter. So we're almost done hauling all these dead bodies in. Another thing that I hadn't done, oh, menace pods, I'll take a look at that, is we desire skull spikes. So let's extract some skulls. We really only have one skull spike so far, and that would be Buddha Man. I thought, right? I kept Buddha Man's skull somewhere, maybe. Maybe I didn't. But either way, we're going to want some skull spikes, so maybe skull spikes on wood, though. Once I have a little bit more wood. We used up all our wood making bridges here. Okay, and we have a mech cluster landing up north. So this mech cluster comes with a climate adjuster, which is going to make it colder, which is kind of fine. It also comes with a countdown activator for 7 days. A few turrets. No mechanoids whatsoever. Except for whatever's in this, whatever gets called down in the... Does it have a... No, it doesn't have anything called down. So whatever's in the mech capsule, I suppose. It has proximity, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to not allow anyone to go close there. I'm probably going to want a smoke launcher before I mess with this so that I can shut down the turrets very easily. And then up here, where the tribals died, I'm just going to forbid that so we don't haul their bodies. So that's a little bit out of our way. And I'm almost ready to burn the bodies that we're close to. So if I wanted a smoke launcher, I believe we get that. No, that's EMP through microelectronics. Gunsmithing already gave it to us, so all we need is a machining table, and we'll be all set to go. For a machining table, I am going to be required to get some more components, and then I'll take a quick look at the quest that I was offered, because I haven't looked at that yet. The moment I was going to, we got the mech cluster coming in. So I gotta be careful with the regular components that I use up. We don't have a lot of regular components left on this map tile. So if I make it smoke launchers and EMP launchers and stuff like that, we're gonna burn through whatever supply we have. So for everybody else that is not a slave, we're gonna be set to a void zone so we don't trip the proxy sensors. And also realizing that even some of our animals, not that the turrets fire at animals, but even some of our animals are well within the range of this mech cluster, so it's relatively close to us. All right, here we go. Getting the compound laid out. We're nearly done with all the flooring. Just a little bit more wood left to acquire. I wouldn't mind some skull extraction, though. Probably don't need this many skulls, but just in case we really want to go crazy with our skull spikes, we will have the skulls available to us. That's probably enough. 14 skulls? Yeah, let's hope. Alright, I'm not going to be setting up skull spikes until we have an abundance of wood, because there's a finite amount of steel on this map tile until we have a deep drill, but not really a finite amount of wood. So the corpse hauling zone, I'm going to shut down now. So sorry, Zaleb, you're just going to haul this steel instead. And Bunny should be mining up. Yep, she is indeed mining up the compacted machinery for components. So as you can see, she's done a pretty good job, and we just need to haul it in so that we can make the machining table, so that we can make the smoke launcher, so that we can destroy the mech cluster. So the quest that we had here, the menace pods. This is for yet another mech cluster. The doomsday launcher is very tempting, but I think what I want to do is I want to get rid of at least this mech cluster first before I even consider getting rid of, or before I consider calling another one. I only really want one at a time. Now, another way to destroy this one pretty easy is I could just call down a one of my aerodrone salvo favors, but I'd rather just destroy it manually. I'm really relatively surprised that my my guests here haven't had mental breaks yet. I would have put money down that they would have snapped by now. But they haven't. Surprisingly, they haven't. I really wish Trustin and No Luck weren't the ones queued to... You know what? I will put Sven on it. No, so Sven, you are not really wearing a shirt anymore. That seems like something I should be able to solve. So let's go ahead and do that. Taking a look at Trustin's. Trustin is in flak vest and Thrumbo button down. That's actually not right, but okay, that's fine. So what we're going to want here is the ruffled shirts. Because we're royal, of course. So that would be... Oh, we don't have that researched, do we? So Sven will have to research that once he's done with multi-analyzer. And I'm making room for the multi-analyzer here. Oh, an Exoticus trader. This will be done any second now. Bunny's not been... What is going on with you, Bunny? Oh, because she's on pure recreation. All right, let's put her on anything so that she can meditate. That would be my fault. So Trustin and No Luck no longer have work priorities because the stonecutter tables are being so monopolized. I think what I'll do is I'll have... Trustin make a smoke launcher at the very least, and then he'll probably start working on other backup clothing and the like. I'm going to be selling this full because I really only need 5 horses. And then I'm going to sell the Luciferium because I really don't have use for it. Sell the elephant tusks, buy an Insanity Lance, and buy a little bit of plasteel just to balance the budget here. Done. The Insanity Lance is going to be a powerful item for us to force equipped. Ta-da! And Trustin, what is stopping you? Okay, nothing is stopping him from making a smoke launcher. He's doing it now. Multi-analyzer is done. Let's go down to Noble and then eventually Royal Apparel because we're going to want formal shirts and formal vests for both Sven and Trustin. And then Bunny's clothing is not going to last forever either. So, oh, that leads me to one other thing is that we're sort of overdue for Devil Strand. So after we get a little bit of food out of the farm fields to make sure that we have enough lavish meals, I'll make sure that we get to produce some Devil Strand. So this is going to be a little weird because, well, I don't want it spreading into my farm. So this wasn't the best... Oh, boy. Don't torch carbon. Wasn't the best spot for it because we're going to have to make sure that it doesn't spread too far. But I think what I'm going to do is just have a 3-wide swath around it like that to keep it contained. And then once the bodies go up, I can... Oh, there we go. Tantrum. It would have been a little easier if I threw those corpses in the middle of the Archonexus radius that kills off plants. Pretty clearly defined radius here. But that's fine. It started to rain. So the rain will handle the rest. And there goes the bodies. Now I can add it all to a home zone. Clear the fire. And then my guests should no longer have constant mental breaks. Oh, okay. You broke a bed with your fists. You know, guests, you're here at will. You continue to make me mad, and that contract we had hosting you, how long is it for anyway? 14 more days? Yeah, we might just enslave you, so behave. And Bloke gave birth. If Bloke gave birth, Sven, I'm going to have you go trade off that foal again, a new foal. Oh, and the calf cow too. Yeah, let's get rid of both and buy a little bit more plasteel. As you can see, we're very low on vegetables. If we have to just eat nutrient paste or something made out of, I don't know, some alternative, we will. Now, in terms of temperate room, I think what I'll do, which might seem odd, is to cool my weapons room so that I can brew in here. Because beer is a weapon, and once the beer comes out of the casks, I'm going to want it not to trigger the prisoners' riots. So I'll put my fermenting barrels in here. Let's see, probably 4 is good for now. And there we go, a Masterwork smoke launcher. And that will keep us from being shot by the turrets when it's come time. So, noble clothing is done. And then I'm going to go back to ground pen scanning and queue up a multi-analyzer. So with that clothing research done, I'm going to make 2 formal vests and 2 formal shirts. I don't really have a good material to make them out of. So how about we hunt? There is a lot of elephants and rhinos. Elephants have horns that we can then sell as well. So let's go clear out this little herd of elephants. Now it's raining pretty hard, which means we'll be at a little bit of an accuracy disadvantage. But with all these skillful shooters, it should be just fine. Now, I'm not going to be able to chase the elephants into the Met cluster. So if they run really far north, they're kind of safe, oddly. All right, we'll go for 1 more. Maybe both if they cooperate. There we go. They're all coming now. And this, my friends, is where this episode is going to leave off. Thank you for tuning in to the Archotechs, episode 45, The Compound. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to join my gaming community, which includes things like game giveaways, polls, notifications for upcoming streams, or just chatting with me, Rhadamant.com or the description of this video both have a link to Discord. Thank you so very much for watching. I'll catch you next episode. Stay safe out there, Architects.